Hi, my name is Jeanette and I want to thank you for joining me on the channel Jane Reads. So today I thought I would try to do a mid-month wrap-up. I have finished 3 books so far this month, and last month when I did the July's wrap-up, I had read 7 books, but I only talked about 3 books in that video because then I did a separate series review for the other 4 books that I had read in August. However, that 3 book video still ended up being 20 minutes. So I thought, okay, let's do a mid-month, because if I review all the books that I'm reading this month in one video, it could be a rather long video, and I tend to prefer the shorter videos. Just, I don't know. I get overwhelmed maybe, or just finding the time to watch them, I end up having to break them up sometimes. So we're going to try for a shorter video. We'll see though, because I have a tendency to ramble, whatever. So I've got my notes in front of me of the reviews. I have a blog where I post all my reviews. It's cjaneread.blogspot.com. So all the reviews for any books that I have reviewed will be on that blog. I try to get them up before the video gets posted, but sometimes it might be a few days after the video is posted. Kind of depends on how the schedule works. So anyways, so I have my written reviews in front of me so that I kind of remember what I want to tell you about the book and what I want to say, and hopefully not kind of repeat myself or talk in circles or that kind of stuff. And yeah, I talk a lot with my hands. I hope that's not too annoying. So the first book I'm going to talk about is The Last Way Home by Liz Johnson. I was privileged to receive this as an advanced reader copy. However, it is now released. It came out on August the 2nd, and it was one of the books that was on my most anticipated list. It is a book that I plan on buying because I own a lot of Liz Johnson's books, and I had pre-ordered the book number 1 for this series last August, and I plan on getting this one. Liz Johnson is one of my favorite authors. She's one I don't tend to even read the back of the book. She's just an auto buy for me. So this one is book 2 of the Prince Edward Island Shores series. Book 1 featured the middle brother of the Ross family, and this book focuses on the oldest brother of the Ross family. So Eli has returned home after leaving 11 years ago without a goodbye. He has hit rock bottom. He was kicked out of the NHL. He's now homeless and broke. He does not want anyone to find out what happened with his career, but he wants to make amends with his family for his past mistakes. He arrives in town just as his mom's shop has a fire. His mom welcomes him back with open arms. He makes it his mission to assist Violet, his mom's business partner and mentee, with getting the shop ready to reopen while his mom is recovering from her injuries. Violet has never met Eli. She's only heard about him as she arrived in town shortly after he left. Violet arrived in town with some secrets of her own, and during the 10 years she has gotten to know the Ross family, they have become like family to her. Due to Eli's long absence, she has formed some very strong opinions about him. Both Eli and Violet are trying to keep their secrets to themselves, but eventually they share them with one another and realize they can help each other. Eli is desperate for money and ends up taking a job as a coach for a girls' bantam hockey team. But because it's a girls' team, he enlists Violet's help. I loved the scenes with the hockey team. They might only be 13 and 14-year-olds, but they teach Eli some strong lessons. And he discovers that he enjoys coaching. Well, on a search for a particular item for the shop, Eli and Violet interact with some characters from another series written by Ms. Johnson. I have read this other series, so it was fun to have this crossover and catch up with the characters. You do not need to have read the other series to enjoy these scenes though. I found this was a very interesting story that took some turns I wasn't expecting and kept me intrigued. Would Eli get out of the mess he was in? Can Violet find peace with her past? I loved the way the story unfolded at the end, and the message that God can use our brokenness to make something beautiful. There is a strong message of forgiveness and love. Eli's mom loved him unconditionally and forgave him immediately for his mistakes. Eli had to learn to forgive himself and ask others for help rather than trying to carry the burden alone. So 2 quotes that I took from it that I just absolutely loved is, "Forgiveness is sweet because none of us deserve it." And the second one, "God doesn't always fix what is shattered, but he can make something new and beautiful out of what's been broken." So the second book I read was Walt's Apprentice, Keeping the Disney Dream Alive by Dick Nunis. I received this one as an advanced reader's copy from Hyperion Ave through NetGalley, so I want to thank them and I was not required to give a positive review, but I really enjoyed this one. This one comes out on October the 11th, and I will be recommending it to anybody who enjoys Disney. So this was written by Dick Nunis, who worked for Disney for 44 years. I really enjoyed reading his perspective of working for the company, and he was there right at the very beginning. He worked his way up from a gopher to director of park operations. He was there at the beginning of Disneyland opening and the opening of Walt Disney World and some of the other Disney parks around the world. He worked directly with Walt for 12 years of his career and then with his brother Roy until both of their deaths. His goal over the years was to keep Walt's dream alive and the way that Walt envisioned it to be. Each chapter was dedicated to a specific story or topic, and I enjoyed at the end of each chapter that Dick included a lesson learned from that topic. I enjoyed many of the stories shared and finding out some of the inside details of why certain things are created the way they are. There were times I had to stop reading and share with my husband what I had just read. I found myself agreeing with Dick's philosophies on work principles. Do the best job you can with the job you're given today. There are so many lessons shared in this book that can both be applied to readers' personal lives and work lives. The only part I struggled with were the sports references. As I am not a football or a golf person, I did not fully understand some of what he was talking about. Overall, I enjoyed this book and will be recommending it to those interested in Disney or those that enjoy memoirs. 2 quotes that I took from it that are 2 of the lessons learned is, incentives don't have to be financial, they can be memorable experiences. And people notice and remember what you do, not what you say. So I really enjoyed this book, and I'm so glad I read it before I'm going to Disney World in September, because I now know a little bit more about Disney World and why certain things are. And one of the things that was kind of interesting is they have these tunnels underground at Magic Kingdom for the cast members, and I had heard about them before, but I never really put a lot of thought into them. And Magic Kingdom is built up on a hill so that they can have the tunnels, because Florida is kind of a swampy area, so they can't dig basements where tunnels in Canada would be. So Magic Kingdom is built on a hill, and I never really thought about it. I've only been there a few times, so I can't say I've really noticed a lot, but I'll be kind of looking, can I tell as I'm walking into the park that I'm going uphill to enter the park? I don't know, so I'm interested to see. So yes, I would definitely recommend this book. So then the last book I'm going to talk about is A Tailor-Made Bride by Karen Whitmire. This one was a reread for me, and the first time I read it, I gave it 4 stars. This time, I didn't enjoy it as much, and I'm only giving it 3 stars. So this book did not hold my interest until near the very end. I liked the character of Hannah with her truly giving and caring heart, but it took me a long time to warm up to JT. He could be nice to Hannah one minute and then judge her and treat her bad the next. My favorite scenes were definitely the ones with Hannah and Delilah or Hannah and Ezra together. Hannah befriends Ezra, an older gentleman who has recently lost his wife and is struggling with the day-to-day activities in the midst of his grief. Hannah accepts him as he is, and through her kindness, he is able to connect with the townspeople again and carry on. JT was so judgmental and opinionated about Hannah and her profession because of a bad experience with his mom. Yes, I understand that this experience scarred him, but shouldn't he at least try to get to know Hannah before putting her in the same category as his mom's actions? I loved how both his sister Delilah and Hannah confronted him about his feelings and challenged him to search the scriptures for answers. I especially enjoyed the Bible teaching in this story. Turning to the scriptures for answers was spoken about several times. After this soul searching, JT's attitude toward Hannah changed, and I found myself warming up to him and enjoying his scenes. By the last few chapters, I wanted things to work out between these two. I did not particularly like the addition of the bad guy scenes, as I felt they didn't really add to the story. This is the second time I have read this book, and while I remember enjoying it the first time round, I found myself more frustrated with JT this time than I remember being the first time. I feel Miss Whitmire has written better books with deeper characters than this one. As I said, this was my second time reading it, and I did enjoy it the first time, so maybe, I went into it a little bit kind of knowing more about the story or more discernment. I've read a lot more books since I read that one the first time. I don't know, Or I'm a few years older and my opinion's changed. So 2 quotes that I took from this one is, hardships are sure to find their way to your doorstep. Confidence is the only way to combat them. Confidence in yourself and in God, who equips you to overcome. Never forget that. And then the second one is, it doesn't matter how long you've been away, Ezra. God is always ready to welcome a child of his back into his house. So I love that. God, it doesn't matter how long you've been away, but God is always ready to welcome a child of his back into his house. So those are the 3 books that I have read so far this month, and really I recommend all 3 of them. I mean, none of them were bad books, but if you like Disney and like memoirs, look for Walt's Apprentice, coming out October the 11th. And if you like contemporary romance, pick up The Last Way Home by Liz Johnson. And the setting of PEI is just gorgeous. And I might be a little partial with being a Canadian and I've been to PEI, so it was easy for me to picture. But I don't think you need to have gone to be able to picture, if you've seen pictures online, I'm sure, of the red sand and stuff, I'm sure Miss Johnson describes this very well. So those are the 3 books so far. And that's all I have for you today. As I said, the written reviews will be on my blog, which is cjanereed.blogspot.com. And I'd love to chat in the comments below, what is the favorite book that you've read so far this month. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.